Welcome to The Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hello, thank you for joining. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, and this podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome a true visionary in the world of fragrance, Sue Phillips. Sue's career read like a masterclass in beauty and innovation, from holding senior roles at iconic houses like Tiffany and Company, Burberry, and Lancome, to founding her own global fragrance consultancy. Sue, you have been an extraordinary pioneer. Please welcome to the Bold Book of the Day.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Denise. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. So I'm a fragrance connoisseur. So it's good to hear, to talk to you, to see how you've held your senior roles at some of the world's most prestigious beauty houses to having your own consultant agency.
You know, everything in life can either be planned or unplanned.
Mhm.
And in my situation, everything that I've done has literally been unplanned. And it's been serendipitous. You know, I grew up in South Africa. I never thought I would leave South Africa. I left South Africa. I came to New York. I was a singer and an actress. I thought I would be in acting and singing for my career, but things took a little bit of a sidestep because the immigration attorney said there are thousands of out of work singers and actresses. So what else do I do? So I took a sidestep and I landed up in the cosmetic industry by chance. So and then I've gone back to acting, and then I started my own company. I never thought I would start a company. So everything that happened, in a way, it happened for a reason, but it happened because it was unplanned. But I had to jump and seize the moment when it happened so that I could go to the next step. Does that make
Yes.
sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. So you didn't plan it, but when the opportunity came, you made good on that, because opportunity doesn't just happen. You have to accept them when you see them and create them when they do come. When
Precisely.
yes, when they
Precisely.
don't come. Yeah.
Yes, precisely. And be ready for it. We all, they always say change is constant, which is true. The only thing in life that is constant is change, because we're always navigating, we're always changing, we're always looking for the next opportunity, or looking to improve ourselves, or navigating something that might be a little difficult. And I think throughout my career, I've navigated change.
What inspired you to leave the corporate world and start your own fragrance consultancy, which is kind of piggyback on what I last said?
Well, that was also unplanned because
Mhm.
I was doing really well at Elizabeth Arden and then Lancome and then Tiffany. And then I had my daughter. And well, I was having my daughter and I had some complications unexpectedly. And the doctor said, you better just take it easy and rest a little while. Otherwise, you're going to have a complication. And so that's what finally led me to start my own business. When I had my daughter, I didn't want to stop working, but I also felt that it was important to stay at home to be with her. And so that's when I started my consulting company, which I called very, very unoriginal, Susan Phillips Enterprises. And, you know, I get my best events, my best thoughts late at night. And one night I was sort of deep in sleep and I kept on hearing the same words: Centerprises, enterprises, cent enterprises. And so I wrote it down and I called my company Centerprises. And that's how I
Ah,
started my company, Centerprises. So
wow.
again, unplanned.
Now, do you remember the first perfume that you that no, the first perfume that captivated you, and how that did that make you feel?
So I was in South Africa, and at 12 years old, I had a holiday job offer during the holiday season. And my
Mhm.
mom was a wonderful interior designer and display designer at some of the stores. So I got a holiday job at a store very much like Bloomingdale's called the Belfast. And lo and behold, I got a position in the fragrance department. And at 12 years old, this was wonderful. So one day I was reaching into the counter to get a bottle at the far end of the counter, and I dislodged a bottle that was closer to me. And this bottle fell and broke to the floor. And
Oh,
it was so expensive. In those days, it was $150 was a huge amount of money. And the bottle broke, and it was a beautiful bottle of fragrance called Femme by Madame Rochat. And femme means feminine or woman. And it was so amazing because that bottle spilled to the floor and the fragrance diffused through the air. And I was so disappointed and I was so upset. And I went to the department manager and I said, I'm so sorry I broke the bottle, and I will find a way to pay for it. She said, we'll deal with it later. That night she came to me and she said, Sue, you won't believe it. We sold more bottles of fragrance today because the fragrance was diffusing in the air. It permeated the air. And so that was an amazing story. And it lingered with me because just the very fact that this fragrance diffused in the air, it caused people to really experience it and enjoy it. So that was a great lesson. And I'll never forget that story or the bottle of perfume that broke.
oh my goodness. I love that something broken
Yes.
sparked,
Mm.
ignited something in you because it ignited something in the store that day and made a change. Maybe that was the beginning also of, them focusing on fragrance in that department store because they, you know, they 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 had that experience.
Well, that was way before spraying in the air or scent
Ah,
diffusion or sampling. It was just, a question of you walked to the counter, you tried it, and then you either experienced it or you left or whatever. But this was the first time that, the scent was diffused in the air and just by accident. It wasn't even planned. So it was a very fortuitous situation that happened. Thankfully, I didn't have to come up with 150 rand to pay her.
so you're originally from South Africa, and
Yes.
I have been to South Africa twice.
Ah,
Now, yes, I've been to South Africa. I went to first to Johannesburg, and
mm-hmm.
then when I went back, we went to Cape
Cape
Town,
Town. Yes.
and then Johannesburg, and then to Zimbabwe, the neighboring country. So, how did growing up there shape your perspective on culture, creativity, and identity?
That's a great question. Well, growing up in South Africa, just from the standpoint of the weather, the fauna, the flora, it was an amazing place. But the politics really got to me because after I went at school, I went to drama school and I was in theater. And we'd all want to go out to have coffee after the theater or after the show. And because of the political situation, it was very much segregated, and we couldn't do that. And so it really annoyed me and it upset me so much that just because somebody was different than me, we couldn't go and all enjoy coffee or dinner together. And so I made a vow that I was going to leave. And so it really saddened me that this situation happened, that I had to leave my country because of their policies. Well, years later, when I went back and Nelson Mandela had been freed, it was such an amazing situation to see this beautiful country open and wide open and accepted for everybody. And so, growing up, it was a beautiful country in terms of just the vista, the agriculture, the game reserves, the natural beauty. But the endemic situation was bad, and so I'm glad I left and I came to America. But I still have my roots there.
Of course. Are there any specific scents or rituals from South Africa or from your South African roots that continue to influence your perfumery today?
So We used to go to the game reserve. I don't know if you had a chance to go there when you
Yes, I
visited.
did twice. Yes.
And,
Yes.
the ritual was you'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you'd have
Morning.
your coffee, you'd be freezing, they'd give you blankets, you'd have your coffee and your rusks, and then you would go out in the Land Rovers to see the early morning animals,
Yes.
at
In the
opening
early,
up
early, early
early
in the
morning.
morning. Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful, so the thing that really sparked my memory all the time about this is that early morning, you have the dew on the grass, and
Hmm.
the dew and the early morning air was cooling the hot red earth from the day before, from the sun baking the hot red earth. And so the confluence of the aromas, the hot baking sun on the red earth being cooled by the early morning dew on the grass was just such a wonderful memory. And every time I smell that and I try and capture that aroma, it reminds me of my childhood and the early days of going into the game reserve with the Land Rover. And and then at night, when you came back from the different game reserve runs, the beautiful sunset would come at the dusk, and that gorgeous red crimson sunset would be very visible against the backdrops of the mountains or the air, whatever. So, the natural beauty of South Africa is beautiful, and I try and capture that in fragrances that I create.
Did you capture that in your book, The Power of Perfume?
I did. I talk about it. And here's the book. I talk about it, and I talk about the early morning trips to the game reserve.
Beautiful. Uh-huh. Yes.
And, the fact that obviously fragrance triggers memory and emotions. And that is why I call the book The Power of Perfume, because it really is our most powerful sense. Our strongest sense is our sense of sight, but our
Yes.
most powerful is our sense of smell because it triggers memory and emotions, and of course, scent and taste. Without our sense of smell, there's no sense of taste.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
Yes.
what happened during COVID, many people lost their sense of smell because that was one of the symptoms of COVID, which is called anosmia, when you cannot smell at all. It just
Mm-hmm.
you lose your sense of smell. And then there are other symptoms which are a variety of sort of parosmia, where you get a distorted sense of smell, or phantosmia, where it's a phantom smell. You might be smelling, let's say, bacon, but you smell something else because it's a phantom. It distorts and it changes the way the sense of smell works.
I haven't heard of that. What is it called? The
The
what is
story
it?
is called parosmia.
Parasmia.
Parosmia is smell distortion. And then
Mm-hmm.
phantasmia is when you smell something that basically isn't there. You smell a phantom scent,
Okay.
which is not there. So that's, all those symptoms happened during COVID. And one of the things that happened was that people started to suddenly pay attention to their loss of smell, because it can be very dangerous if you don't smell gas, you don't smell fire, you don't smell burning. It can lead to complications.
Tragic. Yes. Yes. Now, you talk about perfume in the book as a tool of identity and healing.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit how scent influences our emotions and memories so
Well,
powerfully?
yes. So, just even growing up in a place like South Africa for me, or anybody who thinks about their childhood, I'm sure has palpable fragrance memories, and good and bad.
Yes.
Maybe when you grew up, you were out in the fields, or playing sport or whatever it was, and maybe you tripped on a stone, or you tripped on a piece of wood and you fell and you broke your leg, and your mother might have given you vanilla a lollipop or vanilla ice cream to make you feel better. Well, vanilla is such a beautiful aroma, but maybe in that instance, every time you think about vanilla, you might think, oh, well, that I had pain, I broke my leg, I broke my hip, I was in pain. So maybe the memory of vanilla in that instance will give you a bad memory. Sometimes a memory of a vanilla could make you feel, like you're getting married, or you've got your vanilla book, whatever, and it's a
Hmm.
lovely aroma. So the situation about fragrance ties into occasion, to memory, to emotions, and it's palpable. There are times that I walk down Fifth Avenue and suddenly the wind changes and suddenly there's an aroma in the air that stops me dead in my tracks, and I immediately am transported back to a memory in South Africa. So fragrances are very, very powerful, and it does trigger memory and emotions.
One of the scents that triggers my emotions is cocoa. When I was very young, I was ill. I'd just gotten out of the hospital. I was in a car accident. Now,
Oh,
just
I'm
gotten out
sorry.
of. Thank you. I was about 7 years old, and I'd been in the hospital for a while because I had a broken bone, and so I came out of the hospital. And while I was healing, my auntie made me some cocoa tea.
Mm,
It probably, of course, she meant well,
yeah.
but I got so nauseous and so sick. And for a long time, I just didn't want to drink cocoa tea until I was an adult again. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so delicious. But I can remember the emotions that came whenever there was cocoa tea in the air. So I do understand how it's mixed, you know,
But
it's
isn't that
emotions.
interesting? Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting that cocoa tea, which is supposed to be so lovely, the hot chocolate, the cocoa makes you feel,
Yes.
suddenly turned on you, or it made you feel nauseous because it reminded you of something negative. You were ill. So
Mm-hmm.
you see how, I mean, you've just said how powerful that was, that memory.
Yes. So, why do you think fragrance is often underestimated when it comes to shaping how we present ourselves in the world?
Because I think what happens is people don't really think about our sense of smell, and they're never taught how to smell.
Hmm.
So from the second that we're born, we s- link with our mothers, because that's how we connect to our mothers, through our sense of smell. And it's the most, immediate reaction. Babies can recognize their mothers through their sense of smell. And so, because it's not taught, we take it for granted. We go through life not thinking about our sense of smell, not really enjoying it because we don't know about it. We take it for granted. And then suddenly you realize, oh my gosh, I can't smell. I can't smell danger. I can't smell, good things. I can't even taste. And so suddenly you realize how important your sense of smell is. So that's the kind of thing I like to talk about, and to inspire people to think about how important their olfactory sense is.
Where did you discover how fragrance will play um,
A
a
role.
powerful role in your? Because I know you said that when your daughter, when you had your daughter, you wanted to be home, and so you thought about, having a business. But how did you decide or discover that fragrance was going to be it, even though you didn't plan for that to happen?
Yes, I think what happened to me was when I realized, I don't know if I said this to you, but when I was a little girl and my mom and dad would go out at night, and my mother would spray her fragrance in the air. And so even though they had gone out, I didn't feel that I was alone. My brother and I were home, but her fragrance in the air just lingered. And it was such a lovely aroma that I felt that she was still here with me. And so that
Ah.
was a sense of comfort, because, typically when your parents are away, you feel, well, why did they go out and why did they leave me? But in this instance, her fragrance was just there, and I felt that it was still very powerful. And she was with me.
In your experience, how can creating a personal fragrance become a form of empowerment for us, or maybe even therapy?
Well, that is one of the trends that have happened right now, that, fragrance has been around for centuries, and it was used in religious ceremonies and bathing rituals, and now really to help people really feel wonderful about themselves, and for relaxation and healing. One of the things about customization or bespoke fragrances is
Yes.
when you get a compliment about the fragrance you're wearing, and they say, "Oh, Denise, you smell amazing," or "What fragrance are you wearing?" It's just such a mood lifter. It can
Oh,
boost
yes.
your confidence. It can make you feel sexy and happy and confident and sexual and sensy, and it's all the positive aspects. And
Yes. It's like you're
um,
leaving your imprint on that
exactly.
person or in that space. And I love it because I get that compliment all the time. And one of my favorite fragrances is it used to be Burberry, and I wore Burberry for I think the weekend for 20 years, not
Mm,
using anything else because I just wanted to have that my signature smell. So whenever I enter a room, someone would know it's me. When my children is thinking about me, that's the smell, and I didn't want anything else, to
detract from that.
detract from that impact, that our imprint I was leaving on them. But then someone said to me, you're limiting your options by only using one perfume. And I was like, I know
Mm.
what I'm doing. I have a plan. And then I decided, someone gave me a perfume. I think the same person that I was telling about my signature smell, and that I've been using this perfume for over 20 years. And she gave me another perfume for a birthday gift.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was Mademoiselle Coco Chanel.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good one to give me because I said, you know what? I do understand what she's saying. And then I started to wear that on occasion. I would wear my Burberry because that's my signature scent.
Right.
And then I'll wear that scent when I was going out. But lately, last year, sometimes I gifted myself a new perfume because people have been talking to me about changing up on perfume. And I said, if
Right.
I'm going to try anything new that will be my signature fragrance, I'd have to try out a few. Anyway, I tried Rihanna Fenty Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, girl, the musk, the magnolia, the scents are the notes are so rich that I feel like I stand out everywhere because every single time I've worn it, I hear, oh my goodness, what is that? What is that? What
Yes.
is that? So I do understand.
Well, you see, that's interesting. And you found something that you liked, which is
Yes.
wonderful. Now, sometimes the opposite can happen. You might smell something on somebody and say, "Oh, girl, what are you wearing? It smells
Yes.
fabulous." And then you can try it, and maybe it doesn't smell so good on you because of your body chemistry, because everybody is different.
Yes.
And so that's a really big thing to factor in as well. How is the fragrance going to mix with your body chemistry? And how is, somebody else's fragrance going to appeal to you? So the trend right now is all about customization or personalization.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, I understand designers have been making fragrances for centuries. You had Coco Chanel, Dior, Arpege, Schiaparelli, everyone's, men's, women's designers. And then you had all the celebrities. And of course, if you can't go to a celebrity concert for thousands of dollars, you can tap into their ethos by getting a fragrance.
Yes.
But the trend right now, and think about this, everybody is a brand, everybody is on social media, everybody is wanting to become an influencer, everybody has selfies. And so why wear what everybody else wears when you can create your own? And
Ooh.
so in this day and age of selfies and self-expression, there's nothing better than when you have your own perfume and then people say to you, "What are you wearing?" And you say,
Wherein, oh,
"It's me,
Sue,
it's
can we
mine."
work on that?
Yes.
Listen, so every year I have an authors conference, and because I love scents so much,
Mm.
I have been given perfumes as gifts, as a part of the gifts at
Oh,
these events.
wonderful.
Yes, but I realized that I was
You're giving
thinking,
you're giving somebody else's fragrance away. Why not create your
yes,
own?
Sue, let's work on it. Oh my goodness. And create something sophisticated
Yes.
and something strong. So one of the things I like is the trial bottles. Like when I buy the Hermes, they have like four different scents you can try from.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I like to give those as a gift when I have um, my author's quantum weekend. I like to give that away because now you can try one of the four to see which one best brings out your chemistry, makes you feel good, which one's best for you. Yeah,
Hmm.
so we're gonna have to do something.
So we can do something. And if you, I don't know if you've gone onto the website yet, but my website, SuePhillips.com.
I can't wait.
There is you just scroll down and there's a little test that you take the scent personality quiz. And
Okay.
by taking the quiz, it reveals whether you like fresh or floral or woodsy or spicy.
Okay.
And people actually take the quiz, and then I get the results and you get the results, and I create a fragrance for you based on your results. So depending, I think you probably would be floral and spicy based on what you told me about Rihanna fragrance, and just
Uh-huh.
knowing, seeing that you love fragrance so much and that you love the other one as well, the Burberry Weekend. And I created the Society by Burberry fragrance many years ago. So
Really?
yes, as well as Tiffany
I
and Burberry.
cannot believe I am in the room speaking with Sue Phillips, the scent connoisseur.
Yes. So that would be a wonderful thing to do, to create your own Denise Nicholson fragrance, the bold, wonderful fragrance for your conferences.
I love it. I'm excited. Guys, you heard it here first. Okay. What's your vision behind writing The Power of Perfume? Is it to give everyone their own perfume or scented experience?
Yes, and also what happened was, again, it was unplanned. COVID came, business shut down, no one was wearing perfume. Of course, in New York, you could walk down Fifth Avenue, it was empty, nobody was there.
Yeah.
And so I had written so many articles for so many different magazines and newspapers. So I thought it's about time to write my book. And
Mhm.
I sat down and I put pen to paper and I came up with The Power of Perfume. And it's an interesting book because it's not a very heavy book. It's not filled with thousands of documents of history. It's just a really fun book with a lot of different tips. For instance, you know, um, many ancient precious oil ingredients are still used. What are the precious oils? Certainly, we talk about what is the difference between perfume, eau de parfum, eau de toilette, cologne. Certain foods that help your sense of smell. So it's a book. Every chapter has another interesting fact and an interesting tidbit, and it's really a compilation of fragrance facts that are fun, that are interesting to read, that will give you some information and will inspire you about the wonderful world of fragrance. So that was the reason that I wrote the book. And because I wrote the book during COVID, wouldn't you know that many people lost their sense of smell? As
Mm-hmm.
we talked about. So I have actually helped about 250 people regain their sense of smell. And now I'm writing a second book with a neuroscientist who reached out to me, who wants to help tell the story about the way I've helped people really follow and appreciate and understand their sense of smell.
Mm. What did you discover about yourself during this writing process?
It takes passion, it takes resilience,
Mm-hmm.
it takes persistence, it takes perseverance, it takes purpose. And so I think about the six P's that really resonate with me, and how I really generate and build my life: passion, purpose, persistence, perseverance, being a professional, and of course, perfume. And so I never give up and I keep on going, because it's important for me that I really help get the message out and that I feel good about what I'm doing.
You look so passionate. You sound passionate, but just how you light up when you speak of perfume and your journey. Sue, I believe that this is your purpose?
It's very, thank you for saying that. And thank you again for having me on. As I said to you, I never thought I would ever be in the fragrance world. I was on a one path in singing and acting and theater, and I've gone actually back to theater. And my two passions are theater and fragrance. And so one day I would like to do a play, a one-woman play, about my experiences building my fragrance brand and helping people discover their purpose through fragrance. So that's one of my dreams.
To incorporate theater and perfume, because of course that is your beginning. That's the love of your life. You
Yes.
started with theater and ended up changing the world with your fragrances and your scents. And I say that because you may not realize how you've changed the world. You may not realize how impactful perfume is. But for me, a person who comes alive when I spray a little perfume, I can just imagine how many lives you've touched, how many lives you've changed, how many people you've positively influenced because of this position of bringing sense into our lives. So thank you, Sue Phillips.
Thank you so much, Denise. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so thrilled to have chatted to you, and thank you for the opportunity.
What role do you see fragrance playing in the wellness and mental health future?
Huge, because, mental health and wellness is all about enjoyment. And,
Mm-hmm.
I go back to the senses. If you can't enjoy our most powerful sense, just our sense of smell, you won't be able to enjoy food because they're so connected. So
Yes.
think about wellness. When you go away and you share beautiful moments with your family or your friends, or holidays or celebrations or life moments, it's always revolving around food. And so, excuse me, if you can't smell and you can't taste, you don't really want to celebrate those wonderful occasions. So people opt out. So the first thing is, people don't realize how important it is, but it is pivotal to our wellness and our
Mm-hmm.
sense of joy.
I agree. I'm also a nurse practitioner hospitalist, and in the hospital, we have some ladies go around. I'm trying to remember their role, but I can't remember. But they go around and they have special sense for the.
Oh, for Alzheimer's, and for people with with Alzheimer's and memory issues.
They come for us because they want us to relax. So they bring
Oh,
fragrances that help
okay.
us to just feel calm.
Yes,
And yeah,
aromatherapy,
aromatherapy,
aromatherapy.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah, for the employees. And I'm telling you, I look forward. I'm a sense girl anyway. I look
I know
forward.
you are. I can see that.
So I'm in the right room. What tips would you give someone like me, who want to find their signature scent? I know you said go to SuePhillips.com, so I'm gonna go there because what was my signature scent then, it's not. I don't know if they've changed Burberry Weekend, but it's not my signature scent anymore. I'm more of that Fenty Beauty. I love the magnolias in there, and yeah, it's strong for me, and I love it.
Yeah, but you raised an interesting point. You said that the fragrance that you used to wear the Burberry Weekend is not the same anymore. And that's actually a situation that happens because so many ingredients have been changed.
Ah,
Either through, think about this, there are earthquakes, hurricanes, fires, all those natural disasters affect ingredients. And so
mm-hmm.
sometimes the beautiful aromas, the beautiful ingredients are not able to be sourced anymore, or they become so expensive that the perfumers find other ways of creating fragrances. So they adjust it, they use molecules, they use synthetics instead of the natural ingredients. And so that's why so many fragrances have been discontinued, because they're no longer able to be sourced with the proper ingredients.
Okay. I thought it was because, I'm getting older and my chemical balances are, changing. So I thought it was more about me than the perfume. Honestly, this is what I thought.
But that's also a factor. I
Wow.
mean, that could
Hmm.
also be a factor. You know, what you smell when you're 15 or 20 might be different when you're 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 because your
Hmm.
sense of smell does change as well.
Okay. All right. Wow, guys, I hope you are taking notes and I hope you have written down how to get your scent, to create or curate your own scent. But
Mm.
I also hope that you've written down how to get this book. So, can you tell us where to get this book again?
Yes, thank you. I'd be thrilled to. So you can go to Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
SuePhillips.com, also my website, SuePhillips.com. And it's called The Power of Perfume. And you can also Google the powerofperfume.com. Um, and it's a fun read. It's a lot of great tips, good educational tips. I call them entertaining tips.
Aha! I love it.
And you can learn a lot about fragrance, and you can learn about yourself too, because you can take
Yes.
the quiz at the back of the book.
Yes. With technology like AI entering our beauty role or the beauty world and fragrance world, how do you think it will influence the industry when it comes to artificial intelligence?
You know, that is such a big question because everybody's talking about creating new things with AI using it. So AI can create maybe a fabulous formula. Let's say you say to AI, look, I used to love Burberry Weekend. Now I love Fenty. I was 12 years old when I got sick and I didn't like that fragrance. And you put all that information in, and maybe AI will come up with a fragrance formula that you like.
Ah,
But at the end of the day, somebody has to make that formula and you have to smell it. So
mhm.
even though AI can come up with the most amazing ideas and creativity, at the end of the day, we still have to rely on what? Our olfactory sense. And so that's one thing that will never change. AI can lead us to interesting formulas, but what will make it actually happen is how that formula is created and whether you like it yourself. And so don't ever forget about the power of perfume because at the end of the day, it's your olfactory sense that's going to tell you whether it's good or not good.
If you had to describe your life's philosophy in one scent note, what would it be and why?
I'd say exuberant.
Do you have a perfume called Exuberant as yet?
No, but it's a good idea. Maybe I'll make it.
What's the core message you hope people will remember after reading The Power of Perfume? I can't wait to get my hands on this book. I don't have it yet, guys, but
I
I'm
have to
looking
get it.
forward to reading this. The Power of Perfume.
I want to wake up people's senses. I want to wake up their feeling that, oh my God, here's something. It's not just like going to the stores and buying a fragrance and getting what everybody else wears. It's finding your own scent persona, thinking about what this book is going to make you feel. It's the power of perfume. Thinking about how can I be better? How can I be confident? How can I be happy? How can I be sexy and sensual? All packaged in one little bottle.
Yes.
And it's basically confidence in a bottle, or sexiness in a bottle, or
Oh,
happiness in a bottle.
yes. This has been such a refreshing conversation. Do you see the connection and this between politics and the social movements and the way the people use fragrances to express ourselves or to feel empowered, Sue?
Absolutely. So, I talk about fragrance through the decades, and I frequently am asked to speak at big conferences. And I just did a big event last week for Cody, a master class, and I do it frequently. And I talk about the social, political, and economic trends that influence fragrance. And I go through the entire decade from the 1900s to where we are today, 2025.
Mm,
And it's very interesting that in the 1900s, when everything was very somber and everything was very sophisticated, well, the fragrances were then too. And then, I take you on this fragrance journey. In the 60s, everything was, a lot of people don't know about the 60s, but the hippies and Musk was there, and everything was freewheeling, and the fragrances were very, very sexy and sensual. In the 80s, there was a fragrance called Giorgio Beverly Hills. I don't know if you remember that. It was a very
Yeah.
big, bold fragrance. Well, the economy was big and bold. America was on fire. It was wonderful. It was happy. It was exciting. And people wore fragrances, and they wore big shoulder pads and big hairstyles. And that was sort of the trend of that day. So everything was big and bold. And then in the 90s, everything went to being very quiet and very retracted. And the fragrances were a little bit retracted. Everything was ozonic. And
Mhm.
so as you go along and you see the political, the social, the economic trends, as I said before, everything right now is about selfies, about influencers, is about indie brands, is about reflecting yourself. So you don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be a designer. You don't have to be a huge politician. You can just be who you are and reflect your brand essence with a fragrance that is all about you.
Yes, I love it. So it's a pleasure. I hope you come back. I don't know if it's going to be about writing the book though. It may be about talking about our endeavors because we are going to create something bold and beautiful. Okay.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much. And I really love your questions and who you are, and look forward to speaking to you and seeing you again.
This was such a pleasure. Before you go, there are three questions that I love to
Mm.
ask my guests. And so, of course, you're not going to get away. What's one bold promise that you can share with the audience?
I think a bold promise that I can share with the audience is that when you have a fragrance that really reflects who you are, whether it's something that you love to wear or somebody that gives you a gift or you create your own, hopefully with me,
Hmm.
you will never, ever feel the same. You will feel happy, you'll feel confident. It will be a game changer because that promise, I can tell you, when you get a compliment about the fragrance you wear, it'll give you a fabulous feeling that
Yes.
nothing else will give you.
Yes, guys, I second that. I'm telling you, nothing else feels as good as when someone walks up to me and said, "What are you wearing? You smell beautiful." So go on to SuePhillips.com and create your perfect scent just for you. What's a bold statement that you can share with the audience that may cause a paradigm shift?
Don't be like everybody else. Be who you are. If you like colors, wear colors. If you like neutrals, wear neutrals. Always be who you are. Be
Yes.
your own person. And honestly, don't fit into the rut of trying to be like everybody else. It's okay to stand out. It's okay to be who you are.
Yes, Sue. One more question. One more question. What's a what do I expect from you now? Because uh, you're doing so much, and you've written a book, and now I know we have this idea, which I am going to follow through on. If you know me, I get results. Okay. I don't just talk the talk. We're going to work on this. But what's a bold move that you'd like to make in the future? What's next?
So the legacy that I would like to leave and make is that when people think about Sue Phillips
Uh-huh.
fragrances, they'll think about elegance, they'll think about game changing, they'll think about purpose, persistence, perseverance, passion, and perfume. And
Mm. All of the
it's not
P's, all of your
all the
six
things.
P's. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. I don't want to be another brand that disappears in 5 or 10 years. I want to make a difference. I want to help people who've had Alzheimer's really
Mhm.
rekindle their memories through fragrance. I want to help people who have had COVID and anosmia regain their sense of smell. So it's really
Yeah.
about helping people in a wonderful way through fragrance.
So the story that you told me about your early days in your career when you just started at the shop and you accidentally broke a bottle of perfume, and I'm thinking about that moment and how disastrous it could have been, right? In such a high pressure world. You're young, you're in this industry, or you're in this shop,
Right.
and this thing happened, and then it was spun into such a positive. And I can just imagine that growing up in that kind of environment, in a world where someone can easily, you know, spin a negative and make such a positive impact. Look at who you are today, because they could have, she could have been upset and
Yes.
angry, you know,
It's
and
so true.
but she did not. She wasn't upset and angry. And I believe because of the way she took that, it made such a difference in your life. Now
Yes.
you are Sue Phillips, the connoisseur, the scented connoisseur.
Well, thank you. It's again all about positive memories and emotions. And yes, I get very, emotional when I think about how my career has changed. And I never dreamed I'd be coming to America. I never dreamed I'd be in this industry. And look what happens. So you
Mhm.
need to dream. You need to just follow your passion and just be who you are, and
Yes,
and never give up.
yes. And always be kind. Use your words to be impactful and positive, because you never know what you will create and who you will create from just being so kind.
It's very true. Very, very true.
So I must say thank you, a
Thank you.
million thank you for giving me the opportunity. I just loved hearing your stories today.
And I
From
love talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. From breaking the first perfume bottle to growing up in South Africa, going to the games early in the morning. Those memories jogged my memories of going to the games when I was there early in the morning with my grandchildren, and they were
Oh,
freezing cold. And it was we did go at a cold time because we went in August.
that's the
Yeah.
winter,
And it
exactly.
yeah, and it was winter there. But then we went to the games in Zimbabwe. It wasn't as cold as in South Africa, in
Yeah.
Cape Town, but it was still cool. And so my grandchildren, they were cold, but they had these big warm blankets. So you really refreshed my memories, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that again. Anyway, um, listeners, please take away this. Every fragrance tells a story, just like every person has a story worth exploring. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you, Sue, for sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Can you tell them one last time where they can get your book?
Yes. The Power of Perfume on Amazon or the powerofperfume.com. And you go to SuePhillips.com with two L's, Sue Phillips, to take the scent quiz and to go on the website and just learn about and discover the magic and the power of fragrance.
And if you would like to take your experience and write a book, please send me an email at authordnicholson@gmail.com, or you can go to boldpublishings.com. I help you get your book idea out of your head and onto paper. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson, or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.